right, so we're here with a special podcast, a special Brotherhood podcast. I was talking to our creative team. I said I would love to hear from our fans and hear from you guys about questions that you have, what's on your mind. So I got my guy J-Rob here to read some of the questions. Thank you all so much. We got a ton of responses, and obviously the support that we felt throughout the entire season was incredible and really meant a lot. We're excited about this group we have coming in and the team that we can have. We're going to need everybody's support and as we go forward. So just want to say thank you, okay? And we're excited to get a chance to hear from you all and answer some of your questions.
I'm excited to get going. We have a lot of really good questions, actually. I was reading through. There'll be some familiar faces, some familiar names. I'm excited to hear your answers. We're going to start off with a guy you know really well, Cooper Flagg. He reached out. He asked, how amazing was it to coach Cooper Flagg?
That's when we said we were going to do this, I wasn't thinking about getting questions from Cooper. The fact that he has the question, I don't know how amazing I want to say it was, but it was amazing beating him in horse.
Yeah.
Every day after practice. And it was, but in all seriousness, Cooper was incredible this year. And it's the fact that he showed up every day, was an incredible teammate, always came with great energy, and then I think what he did on the court speaks for itself. But anyway, Cooper, it was great, big guy. Love coaching you, man.
Absolutely. So we got from the Devil's Den podcast.
It would be even better if he texts me back right away all the time. Since he's so in tune, he has the time to send questions in to Duke MBB. He should have the time to text me back right away all the time. That's one thing I would say, right? All right.
Yeah. So Devil's Den podcast asking, you often talk about the parallels of your playing career and coaching career and the importance of shared experiences. After making your first Final Four as a head coach, what was the biggest learning experience for you in that space, and what does that look like moving forward?
Well, I think the thing I learned in my playing career is along the way, like, look, we took jumps when we hit obstacles. And, I think about a couple of games we lost in the NCAA tournaments where we got knocked out early. It would have been easy to point the finger and make excuses, and we just went back to work. And the same thing for us this year. We were very clear on what we had to do in order to get there. And I felt we never wavered, even when we were 4-2 to start the year, even when Cooper goes down in the ACC tournament. It was still the same path and process. And for me, we have to continue that going forward. The other thing, though, when you go to a Final Four, it's an amazing experience and a great accomplishment. You can't assume it's just going to happen again. Like, you can't assume you're just going to get back to the Sweet 16 or to the Elite 8. And for us, there was a great hunger we had as a program last year. I think our fan base is included in that. We have to have that same hunger and even more for this next year. And I think that's what's most important for us with our team.
Absolutely. Next up, we got Owen Stoddard. He asked, after this historic season we had last year, what are the top 3 things you learned still as a new head coach? So I would say that's probably one of them. And then do you have a couple other lessons that you learned?
Well, Owen asked a good question. I would just say I think we found a winning recipe for us, in this new age of putting roster construction and how to build teams. And our goal is to have the most connected, toughest group each year. And how you go about building that is going to be different based on personnel and who you have returning. I think for us this year, we're going to rely on the 5 returners in a big way to take the next step with their development, but then also help build the culture of what was created last season, because it was a special culture and environment and something you can't just take for granted.
Absolutely. Next up, we got C. Musselman 22. Favorite memory from last season?
Oh, man. Favorite memory. There are a bunch of them that stood out to me. For me, it was going to a Final Four with this team. Look, there's the ACC championship. I think of different moments where individual guys stepped up, whether it was Isaiah Evans against Auburn, whether it was Malik Brown in the second half at Louisville or at North Carolina. Again, many guys along the way, but for me, the collective effort, the defense that we played against Alabama, for those guys to have that accomplishment together was something special that I'll never forget.
Yeah,
See Musselman 22.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into a little bit of questions about recruiting and roster building. Caleb Amos asked, what was your approach or process in retaining all of our key players that are coming back? And then with the transfer portal being so active, how are you able to build that trust and that continuity?
Well, I hope everybody that's listening to this or watching appreciates the amazing character of the guys that are coming back, right?
Absolutely.
And J-Rob, you know this firsthand with what we've gone through this spring. For all 5 of them, in their own individual ways, to double down on what's been started and to be able to have real relationships in the year 2025 in college basketball is not easy.
Absolutely.
And so I'm really proud of those guys and the fact that we've had transparent conversations from day one, starting when we were recruiting them to throughout the time coaching them this year, and then same thing after the fact in the spring. And a lot of this comes down to where, man, you may think guys are promised a starting spot or promised playing time, or that's not how we operate. And it's about the belief, and it's about the vision, but at the end of the day, they need to take advantage of that opportunity also. And so I'm really proud of all 5 of them, and it's no different for our 5 freshmen, and the theme for us as a team is we've all said no to have something special. Like each one of our guys had to say no to other schools to come to Duke. Same thing for us. We said no to the transfer portal, to say yes to our guys coming back or our guys coming in. So I'm really proud of how we've done this differently, and I think it's allowed us to have deeper relationships, as connected as a group possible for this upcoming year.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. Simple Burner asked,
Is this you? Are you Simple Burner?
Not me.
All right. If you just want to ask me a question, you could just ask me a question offline.
No. Simple Burner asked, do you ever advise or ask players to stay for another year, or do you always let them know the choice is completely up to them?
Well, the choice is up to them, end of the day, completely. But always going to give them the truth. And I think each guy is different. I don't think it can ever come from a coach, right? Because it's not going to work well if I have to really persuade somebody or convince somebody to come back. Yep. It has to come from within. We do the best job we can as a staff, laying out the facts, laying out the pros and cons, while also keeping our commitment, of course, to each guy, of finishing the race with them until their time is ready to go. And so to me, it's all about the truth. And then it's the individual's decision, of course, with their family or with their agent, to figure out what they're going to do and what the next steps are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Brock Raul.
I'm going to say one thing about that. I don't think, that's the thing with Isaiah.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of him. I think it shows a lot of maturity on his part. Look, he could have easily gone pro. He could have felt he was ready. He had any option in the world, just like any player does, but especially in for him. And the conversations we've had after the year, I've loved so much, because it's real. With Isaiah,
Yeah.
it's all real with him.
Absolutely.
And it's all been about how he can take the next jump and taking responsibility, talking about his growth, and then the fact that he doesn't want to just get there, but he wants to be completely ready, which is part of why he came back for his sophomore year. So I think those are the kinds of stories, to me, that need to be told in college basketball, but especially with our program, with what a guy like Isaiah is doing, and it's unique.
It is. I'm really excited for Isaiah. I think he's going to have a big year. Brock Raul, he asked, what's something you look for in recruits that doesn't show up on film?
I think the 2 things we found great success with, one, which is, and both these things are hard to judge sometimes, but we spend a lot of time thinking about toughness, right? And the obvious would be physical toughness. Do they play through contact? Do they, drive with force? Do they attack the basket? Do they play hard all the time? There's the physical toughness, but to us, it's the mental toughness. It's the ability to have two bad games or two poor shooting games and still impact the game in other ways. We call it the 98%. It's the 98% is the amount of time you're on the floor where you're not having the basketball in your hands. And that's incredibly important. Fighting through adversity. Typically for us, a guy changing schools multiple times is something we question, because when you stick it out and you figure out what you can do better and take responsibility, at some point you're going to have to do that, especially here.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, do they love it? Do they love the game? Because if you love the game, you're going to work for it. You are more prone to fighting through adversity and figuring things out. And we want guys that love it here. It's part of our environment. If you're not going to put in the extra effort, extra work, you're going to have a hard time succeeding here. And so those two things for us are as important as, of course, the skill of, athleticism or shooting or any of that stuff.
Yeah. I always love how y'all look at, just for me, learning about the recruiting process, y'all look at, do they play with emotion? I think that goes hand in hand with, do they love it? I think that's a huge aspect of how good they're going to become.
And, something we've always talked about in our program is being part of something bigger than just yourself. Mm-hmm. And, look, we've had a lot of guys go pro and be top picks, but end of the day, this should be the best year of playing college basketball of their life.
Yeah. Or
hopefully multiple years of doing that. And in order for that to happen, you have to be a great teammate. You have to want coaching. And we've been lucky to coach guys that are more than just about themselves.
For sure. Next up, we got J.R. Hughes. He asked, how are you and the staff so good at recruiting generally? It's a nice compliment.
I think the thing that our program has done the best, if you look at the last few decades, and for me as head coach, I've wanted us to continue this, and we've had to, is adapting. Yeah. The way you recruit is different. I think there's different iterations, and maybe sometime I can take everybody through the different iterations that I feel there have been even since I've been here. I mean, if you look at the Duke history, the history of our program. So that's the first thing. I think our staff has had the ability to adapt to the modern day environment, how to build a team, with how to connect with guys. Coach K said this to me a long time ago, and it's really stuck with me. Like, as coaches, you keep getting older, but the recruits stay the same age. Yeah. Well, maybe some rules are changing where I think we're about to see some different ages, all over the place. But that's still the same concept. So I think the ability to adapt, and then I think our staff is really relatable. All of our coaches can really connect and relate, and their ability, and I pride myself on my ability as well to have just trusting, transparent relationships with guys who are pursuing the dream of, playing basketball in the NBA and the highest level of college. And so that's always going to be as important as anything we do. This program's about our players, first, second, third, down the list. And we have to bring in the right guys. And so to me, it's those three things that stand out. That's really important for us.
Yeah, no, that's big time. This name is funny. Christine Needs a Coffee asked, is it tough to coach one-and-done players as opposed to a player staying all 4 years? And, how do you generally navigate that?
This is better than Cooper's question, because Cooper is really difficult coaching Cooper. This is my chance to talk about what a pain he was to coach. Everybody's a one-and-done player, and that's, for us, the urgency to coach each one of our guys is at the highest level, because you don't necessarily run a 4-year race anymore. That happens few and far between. Even Tyrese, who is Tyrese and I, and the relationship that we have and what he's done here in 3 years is awesome. I love that journey we've been on together, but there's a year at a time. And so for us, that's the environment we're in. We coach with complete sense of urgency while understanding that each guy has to run their own race, and it's going to take time to get there sometimes. So I think that's no. So no, it's not hard, because it's the reality of how we have to go about coaching each year.
Yeah, I agree. So we're going to move on now to looking ahead to next year's team. J Travel 73 asked, what excites you the most about this 25-26 team? What are your initial thoughts on the roster?
Well, I really love where we landed with this team. And you're always worried about continuity as a coach. And I think we had a lot up in the air going into this spring. And to come out of this with 10 scholarship players to play who are all really good and capable. And then we've finished out our roster with 3 key guys that are going to help us every day in practice and help our culture, and Jack, Iffy, and of course Cam coming back for year 2. The things that are important for us, right? I mentioned that mental toughness piece. I think we have a mentally tough team, and a team of guys that have come in or come back ready to earn, ready to prove. And I think that's really important. But also the fit and chemistry has been really important to us. So the positional size is there. I don't know who our shortest guy is. Caleb hates if I say him. I think it is Caleb. I'm sorry, Caleb. I know it's your podcast. You're letting me host, or letting J-Rob host. But it may be him, and Caleb's a big guard. We have positional size. We have great skill across the board. And then we have guys, all 10 have feel, and that's an important thing, because the way that we play, we want some randomness. We want to play with pace, and we have great spacing, and we want to give our guys room to follow their instincts, and we love cutting off the ball. It's not just running sets, and so you have to be able to think the game. So I love where we landed with these 10 guys, with the skill, the size, and then the fact of all of them could have been promised a starting spot, or it could have been the ball in their hands all the time, and they still chose to come to Duke ready to earn, ready to prove, and be a part of something bigger than themselves. I think it's the making of a really good group. And for them and for us, let's not compare it to anything else. Last year's team wasn't being compared to the year before or to anybody else in general. We allowed them to be their own individual team. And we need to do that for this year's team. Like, they're going to go through their own journey. And that's going to be a beautiful journey and a great journey. But I think that's really important for all of us. Let's enjoy the heck out of this team, man, with how we got here and the work we're going to put in. And it's going to be a really special group.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. Oh, another familiar face, Caden Boozer. He reached out. He asked, who's your favorite player on the 25-26 team? With a little note, he knows it's him.
I'm great. I have 10 favorite players, but Caden, you're the only current player that asked a question, so you got a leg up on everybody right now as far as I'm concerned. And my favorite players are the ones that play hard all the time, play defense, rebound. I think you do those things, right? Absolutely. I think Caden does those things. So let's go. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Now, Naomi Kellis asked, what are the keys to getting the team to work together and have great chemistry?
I don't think it's as simple as I don't think it's something you can just say we're going to do. I think it has to be felt every single day with the energy in the gym, of how we make them interact, how you ultimately bond by doing hard things together.
Yep.
And we're going to have a lot of fun this summer. We're going to go out to dinners. We're going to know about each other. But end of the day, we're going to put our team in positions where they're doing hard things together, where they need each other to survive. They need each other to get through a workout. And that's how we're going to bond. And that's how we're going to be ready to go this season from day one. So for us, that's what it's all about.
Love it. Patrick Keegan asked, any early thoughts on the style and identity for this year's team?
So it was, J-Rob, I told you this, what was it, 50 days
Yeah.
for us. So April 6th was the first day of the off season. And from April 6th to the time that Sebastian Wilkins committed to us, it was 50 days.
Yeah.
And so you're spending 50 days after the season with that being the main priority. And in the same time, you have to make choices on what was really good about this year and what you're trying to build from, understanding it's always going to be a little bit different because you have different people. And for us, the areas we want to double down on, we found some great things with our offense this past year. You know, we had the number one offense in the history of college basketball from an efficiency standpoint. And we played with great spacing. We had really good movement, and we fought for really good shots. And so conceptually, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
For us as a staff, we always try to find, and you know this, I'm telling you stuff you already know because we've talked about. But so I know this wasn't your question.
This one
you
wasn't.
do know the rest, maybe. I'm not sure about the rest of them. But you're trying to expand the margin, right? So you're trying to find how can we this summer, just like we did last spring and summer, how can we find an advantage over a couple more possessions this year? Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to get into all the areas we're talking about because we're still researching and watching and debriefing from this past season. But that's where our heads are at. I can say with certainty for our team, the space that we play with and the reads we're going to continue to do, and then defensively, the versatility that our team has had and the priority of defending our rim, that's not changing.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's go with Landon M. 2288. He asked, how are you feeling about next year's team, and how will you prepare for them this summer, or prepare for the season this summer?
Well, I think the biggest thing this summer, we have to work on our bodies.
Yeah.
You know, I want us in peak physical shape to handle any kind of game. And obviously that means when the time comes to be in peak conditioning, to have peak conditioning. But what we do in the weight room is going to be important this summer. Mm-hmm. And especially as you get to the tournament with our experiences, those are some of the most physical games. In our schedule, it's not like we're easing our way into the season. You know, from day one, we're going to have an incredibly tough schedule. So for us, the priority is our bodies, and then the priority is individually making sure we get the work on the floor. We want to make significant jumps. Each guy is going to be a little bit different, but making significant jumps this summer with the work we're doing on the floor. Second half of the summer, it'll be more concepts, like understanding how to play with each other, more 3-on-3, 4-on-4. Maybe we'll get to 5-on-5, but definitely we're understanding how to move without the ball, our screening angles, our concepts. We'll get in this summer on offense and defense.
Yep.
That is where we come back in the fall. We're ready to hit the ground running.
Great. Bry E15 asks, what differences do Coach Brads and Coach Thornton bring to the staff?
I'm so excited about both of those guys, man. And, you know, Coach Brads and Coach Thornton, both those guys, you know, they have different backgrounds and experiences. You know, Brads has been in the NBA for 8 years, worked with coaches like Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, Will Hardy. He's worked with some of the best players in the NBA. And his experience specifically, there's one of 30 teams, and he's helped run the player development program, you know, for the Utah Jazz. And what we've always tried to do is modernize our program to the highest level. And so his experience from coming from where all our guys want to go, I think is incredibly helpful. Tyler, on the other hand, I love the fact he's coming home. He has experience, just like me and you both do, in a little bit of a different era of playing at Duke, what it means to wear that jersey. And then I love the fact of his coaching progression in career, starting with his 2 years with Wojo at Marquette. He goes and plays professionally. He comes back, has 6 years at Howard, and he's done a terrific job there. Kenny Blakeney has done he's done an awesome job. He's worked with Kenny, and speaking with him, he just was raving about Tyler and the job that he's done. And so he's learned how to be a coach in every way. And so getting him at this time, I think, is a huge advantage for us. His personality, Duke fans know, he's a competitor. He's not afraid to say anything to anybody. And I've loved his attention to detail and just how he's worked. And so combining that with the experience of, Sewell, which of course Sewell, his experience here, and he's been a right hand to me in everything we've done. Coach Dildy and his experience now 2 years at Duke and other places. And of course you, with the incredible job that you've done here. So to me, our staff is set up to be incredibly successful, and everybody balances each other and what they bring. And I love the it's day one really, but I love the connectivity that we have. We have team players, and just like I said with our players, there's not the territorial stuff you deal with on staff. So there's not it's great chemistry, and I sense the hunger from those two guys coming in, and obviously me, you, Dildy, and Sewell with what we've just gone through, where we're ready to go for another season.
Yep. Yeah, I know. For me personally, I'm so excited. I've already learned a lot from them. What I'm going to learn from Evan and Tyler is going to be big time for me. Duke United asks, what is the most important thing to establish first as a team?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a little bit different on each team. Two things we try to establish right away are you're not guaranteed or promised anything. And so developing, which this happens for our guys naturally because we have hard workers and we have a great staff, but developing a culture of work. Mm-hmm. From the outside, people, I think, have a misperception on what Duke is all about. Duke is about, it's a culture of competition, and it's a culture of work. So that's the first thing. And so for us, we don't get into looking ahead. It's all about what are you doing today and earning everything every day. The second thing is the connectivity. How can we build connectivity with our team where we know each other, where just like we saw with this past year's group, where we're heading into the middle of the year, end of the year, and we're coming together with understanding how to play with each other, and there's the humility to understand somebody may be better at something. I gotta make you better in this way, and you gotta make me better in a different way. And so those two things are going to be the most important for us right away.
Yes, sir. And then Jake Doc 22 asked, what's been your biggest challenge so far as Duke's head coach?
I don't think it's even close. I think the biggest challenge is not just for me. I think it's for any coach. You're dealing with an environment of uncertainty. We were talking about this a little bit this morning in our staff meeting. The climate is really difficult. It's hard to understand. There's nobody in charge where there's not a clear set of rules, or it's not clear in terms of how we're going to be progressing, or what the rules are going to be to recruit players a year from now, or how all this is going to work. So for us, the goal has been to provide the most stable situation possible, and I think we've done that. You look at we're the only program in the country that has not had a player enter the transfer portal or come in from the transfer portal. And again, that's been a great tool for us used in the right way. But the fact of our players returning, I love the way that our staff is coming together. It's a very stable program, but it's in an unstable environment. Mm-hmm. So I think that's been the biggest challenge is how do we adjust and adapt while not forgetting who we are, not losing the values of what Duke is all about. And we've managed to do that really well, but can't stop now. Like, you got to keep changing while you're having great success. And we're in the process of doing that this summer.
Yes, sir. And then Dawson Grizzle, great name. Dawson Grizzle asked, what is your defensive philosophy now 3 years in?
Well, for Dawson, the first thing, the defensive philosophy starts with an attitude. It starts with a mindset to being really hungry to stop people. And you have to have a toughness to guard the ball. You have to have a toughness of really having great resistance when the ball's around the rim. And then you have to be moving on a string where it's 5 guys defending, not just one. And so regardless of pick and roll coverages or is it man, are we playing zones, whatever we're doing, the main thing is mindset. And that's the most important. And for us, we've loved the versatility of having a switchable group. You know, as you look at our team this past year, I think the same thing for this team next year. We switch a lot, whether it's 1 through 4, whether it's 1 through 5, some off the ball, a lot on the ball. But again, we'll figure out our team and personnel, and we'll make adjustments each year, just like we do. But the base of it is the mindset and attitude to really guard the ball, protect our rim, and to be moving 5 guys together.
Absolutely. All right, now we're going to get to know you personally a little bit more.
All right.
So for these questions, some of them may be quicker responses.
Are you saying I'm talking too much? Is that
No, I'm just saying these are different questions.
J-Rob, you see J-Rob, you guys saw that, right?
No. Your answers are great. Take as much time as you want. But at Blue Devils asked, favorite moment as Duke coach so far?
Going to a Final Four.
Yeah. Ashley Ingram asked, do you have a go-to pregame meal or snack?
I don't. It changes up. I got some days it's harder to eat for me. Some days I can't explain it. You have different emotions, different feelings. So regardless of what I'm eating, I'm always reminding myself, however I'm feeling, it's your body preparing you in the right way for what's to come. Yep. And so I don't.
Gotcha.
I know you do. Your pregame meal is to eat 3 plates of just whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, so
whatever they're serving, 3 plates.
Yeah. So the key is just I'll give the fans a little bit of an insight. Just the worst spot you can be at a team meal is behind J-Rob. Just so everybody knows, because you're screwed. There's not going to be any food left if you go behind J-Rob.
I'm starting to slow down. I'm starting to get a little older.
We're working with him on sharing. All right, just that's the next step for J-Rob and his development this year. Yeah,
I'll work on it. Jeremiah Camaro asked, "Are you the best shooter in the building?"
Is that a real question?
It's a real question.
Yeah, that's.
I can't believe
it's obviously not your question because you know. Look, the one guy that would like to say, I haven't beat you is Isaiah. You know, but come back and we're going to do this again in a couple months, and that answer is going to be different. Like I'm going to beat Isaiah, not just once but several times by then. But yeah, I'm the best shooter as long as nobody's guarding me and I don't have to move. I've no problem with that.
Absolutely, I agree with
and
you.
let Isaiah, let Darren know, let everybody on our team know that I said that, please. If we can, the creative team, can we make sure we send that out where everybody knows? All right, perfect.
All right, Joey Shea asked, when did you know you wanted to be a coach, and who inspired you to be one?
I wanted to be a coach when I was real young. I remember in junior high, I would have these notebooks, and I would make fake rosters, fake schedules. Like I would literally make up names, and I would have different college teams, and I just thought I would coach after a 10 to 15 NBA career. You know, 10 to 15 years of playing the NBA, and my journey just happened to start 10 years earlier. Instead of 35 starting coaching, I started at 25, and I'm grateful that I did. But I always wanted to coach or teach. At one point, I thought I was going to be a high school history teacher.
Really?
Yeah. And I can't imagine my life without basketball, though. And I knew that in the back of my mind. I was thinking, man, do I coach high school basketball and be a history teacher? But I knew when I was playing in Spain, my heart was in coming back to college. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know about Duke at the time. And it just so happened that Coach K was fortunate to give me this opportunity, and I already knew I wanted to coach though. So when I was when I had this opportunity, I was ready to run with it, and that was a big thing for me.
Yeah, you never know how the timing works out. That's for sure. ISO Anthony asked, favorite sports to watch and play other than basketball?
I love watching football, college or pro. I'm a big Cubs fan, so I'm always watching the Cubs. I'm like watching playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Playoff hockey's fun.
High level.
Anything at the highest level, like horse racing, and Kentucky Derby. I like watching anything but trying to think the Olympics.
Yeah.
I don't care what Olympics events. I love watching volleyball, soccer, any Duke sport. Right now, what our baseball team is doing,
exciting.
Is awesome to watch, and that's been a lot of fun. So for me, any Duke team, Cubs, any of our guys in the NBA. Well, even though the question was about not basketball, but of course I'm watching basketball all the time too.
Absolutely. And I know for playing, we get out there on the tennis court, the golf course too.
Yeah. I love watching tennis. Love watching tennis. Golf is fun to watch on Sundays.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy that's watching, but like on Sundays when game is on the line, I love watching that. And I'm a big Bears fan too. Bears, Rams, actually. Huge fan of Sean McVay and Les Snead and those guys and what they do. The Commanders, Dan Quinn. So I have a few different teams that I really enjoy, but Chicago, of course, in my heart, growing up there. The Bears, better than the Packers. Con and yeah. Who else is a Packers fan? Somebody else. Oh, that's right. Nolan Ellenberg. Yeah. Who won last, the Bears or the Packers? Okay. Do you remember?
I don't know.
It was the Bears. All right, keep going.
No, I'm going to tack on to that question. Do you ever play any pickleball?
I haven't played pickleball in a long time, but I owe Wojciechowski. I'll tell you that
I
much.
have a follow-up, Steve Wojciech.
Of course you do.
What was your most devastating pickleball doubles loss? Was it your partner's fault?
The most devastating loss is losing to Wojo because I've had to hear about it for a year straight.
Yeah.
So you can't lose to him because you're just going to hear about it. So I hope I get to see him soon. I'm picking a different partner. I'm done. I'm not going to name names, but I'm done with that partner. And I'm gonna have Wojo come on a podcast.
Yeah.
I want you to ask him who wins the next time.
The way you feel about losing him, that's how I feel about losing to you. The one person
Do I let you hear about it? Is that
every
what
day.
happened?
I get a text from Emil. He's not even here. He's like,
do.
"You lost today."
How does Emil find out what's happening?
It's a great
crazy.
question. I wonder how. But I'll move on. Raheem the Dream 30 asked, "How do you find that balance to stay calm and relaxed versus being aggressive in your approach with basketball?"
I think it's just instinct, understanding what the game requires, and I've always prided myself on having great poise, especially in critical moments, but having the competitive fire, at any time, like to badly always want to win, and so in order to do that, you need to have different emotions that come into play. So I think it's a combination of understanding what the team needs in that moment. And that's something that I've really tried to do the highest level and prided myself on.
Yeah. Colleen Barrett asked, "If you weren't a basketball coach, what would you be?" But I guess, would that be a history teacher?
Yeah, I guess it would be a teacher of some sort, just giving back, teaching, coaching. Like that's always been in my mind what I've wanted to do.
Awesome. Hudson Skivers asked, "How do you keep a healthy balance between coach, dad, and husband?"
Well, unfortunately, I think I don't know if balance is possible.
Yeah.
One of the things you face when you're a head coach of a college basketball team and you're a dad, I think you feel guilty. You have to stop yourself from feeling guilty. And you can feel guilty when you're away from your kids, or you can feel guilty when you're at home and, man, I got to be with our guys, or there's something at work or something in the office. And so for me, scheduling is important. Maximizing the time of a week and the time in a day is so important. And then something I'm still working on, I'm not perfect at by any means, but it's being present. Like quantity is not as important as quality. And so, like if I'm with you, you got my attention, I'm present. And obviously for my kids, there's that's critical. And I'm amazed how quickly it flies by. Like just for me already, the ages my kids are at, they're growing. And I don't want to miss these moments and look back and say, man, I can't believe I wasn't focused on my son for this or this event. And that's something I've always had with my dad, and my mom. And that's something I want to make sure I pass on.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Watson asks, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh, we're really learning about me today. Man. Favorite movie? I'm a big Dark Knight guy. The Dark Knight for me is one of the great movies. The Dark Knight Rises was the third one. Is that right? Yeah. So. Dark Knight. What's the second one? It's just the Dark Knight, right? Yeah.
Batman Begins is the first.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't as big on Batman Begins, but the Dark Knight.
Gotcha. Jay Mills asks, biggest lesson learned as a father?
Biggest lesson is, especially a father of three, is to embrace that each kid is different and they have their own passions, they have their own way. You may raise them the same, but they all have their different personalities and different passions. And so really embracing that, it's been amazing for me to see the difference of each one of my kids, of just how different. And there's obviously similarities too, but they're all different.
Yeah, that's fun. It's fun to see how, your kids, I can even tell just from my time being here, they're finding their own things. They're running around. Yeah. Jed and his magic. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Noah started playing the piano.
Exactly.
I love it. K. Bell asked, do you have any pregame superstitions or rituals that you do?
My superstitions come with success. Like we get on a winning streak, what we wear for games. We didn't vary too much this year. We kind of wrote it out and stuck with certain things. There's the order of how we dap up before a game. Mm-hmm. There's just a routine of how we do things. I don't know if I'm crazy superstitious in terms of throughout the course of a day, because each day is different for a game depending on when you play, where you play. But I always try to get some time for myself. Obviously, whether it's a walk or getting outside, and then of course the preparation that needs to take place for the game. But it's more about what we're wearing, order of things, leading up to the game.
Absolutely. Caden 3535 asked, loudest ACC arena outside of Cameron?
For me, it depends on the moment. You gotta give Clemson credit this year. When we played them, it was really loud. We're lucky to play in a lot of big-time environments and big arenas. I thought the crowd we had at Boston College this year was a special crowd, and Maine really represented in that one. And all different. I can't say it's just one. To me, it's there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. Brian Barda asked, and I'll ask too, what's the best advice for an aspiring coach?
Yeah, you act like this is your first question of the podcast.
I've mixed in a couple.
I know you were behind. I know you're behind about 12 of these. Have to be authentic. Mm-hmm. You have to figure out your way of doing something. Doesn't mean it's a right or wrong, but you can't just try to be somebody else. And then having a true identity. And sometimes I think as a coach, for me even, sometimes you see all these different things that are that work for other people, but if you try to be all things to all people, then what's your true identity for you as a coach? And so I think that's something you have to have some trial and error, and you have to really figure out what do you believe in at the end of the day. And I think those two things are most important.
Yeah. W.J. Rosenberg asked, favorite North Suburban high school team to play when you were at GBN?
Well, let's see. We beat up on Deerfield all the time. Love playing those guys. We beat up on Highland Park all the time. Love playing against those guys. Love playing against Evanston. 2-0 against those guys. Glenbrook South, we were 7-1. Love being Glenbrook South. Really, any of them. You name it. I mean, we love playing against all those guys.
Yeah.
Niles North, same thing. Trying to think who else. Yeah, I mean, any of them.
No, that's fun. Samuel Lewis said, "You always have some elite footwear. What's your go-to kicks right now?"
I'm pretty simple. I love just some forces, Air Maxes too.
Yeah.
I'll rock those any day. On the court, I wear a bunch of different ones. I wear the JTs.
Yeah.
The Sabrinas are really comfortable. I kind of mix it up on the court, but off the court for me, it's simple.
Absolutely. Air Force One's classic. So now, last section, we'll talk about the Brotherhood and beyond. Brandon McStay asked, if you're stranded on an island and you need one guy in the Brotherhood you trust to fish or hunt, who would it be?
That's a good one. The guy that talks most confidently about being in this situation is Kaman Malawach.
I was going to say, that's my answer, too.
I've heard Kaman talk about this exact same situation, and he talks so confidently, like he knows what would happen. So I'm going to put my life in the hands of Kaman, since he claims he knows what he can do, and to make sure we survive and we're okay. That's who I'm going with.
Yeah, I would, too.
Come on, don't make me regret this, man.
Dylan Shank asked, who's the best golfer on the coaching staff?
We're not a big golfing coaching staff. I think we've been out twice together. I'm not sure Dildy or Sewell have ever golfed before. I don't know about Brads or Tyler.
It's really just between us right here.
Neither one of us. It's not like either one of us. So, little known fact: J-Rob was on the golf team in high school, so he should be this experienced guy. But I'll say you. I think you're the best golfer. Yeah.
I hit the ball hard. It just doesn't go where I
Well,
want.
at least you hit it hard.
Fair. The Hoff 718 asked, do you wish there were more rules and regulations around NIL?
Yeah, I mean, don't even get me started on this, because I could go on all day about what needs to change in our game, starting with rules in terms of how we can work with our players during the course of a summer, like the fact we only have 4 hours a week and we're limited with the bodies that can be on the floor, is really a disservice to our players. You think about the fact of the actual gameplay. That you're not playing with a 24-second shot clock. You can't advance the ball. We're the only game in the world that doesn't play quarters. I can go on and on. And then obviously NIL. Like it's a free for all, and it's a game that we've been successful with and managed to do well. But we're doing it despite any regulations, enforcements, and at some point here, that's going to need to happen. But I'm not going to go on. I could go on all day about this, but I'm not. I want to make sure we get to a few more questions.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, moving on. Mike Corey asked, what innovation in game prep, whether it's fitness, nutrition, data, has been most impactful to Duke?
I get amazing information after every practice and in preparation of each game. I get a readiness score for our guys, a physical readiness score. Nick Potter does an amazing job leading our sports science team I get a lot of information. Every day I get reports before and after practice on physically where each one of our guys are at. But it's not just about health, it's about peak performance. And so understanding days leading up to a game, how to get our guys ready for peak performance. And so we get a readiness score. We tweak or adjust practice based on where we want them to be. And that's been an amazing tool for us to be ready to go for every game.
Yeah. No, I will say that's been one of the things that's impressed me the most coming to the staff. Is I always felt like as a player, y'all had a pretty good feel for when we were tired, when you needed practice to be lighter, and now seeing how much goes into it, it's amazing the information that Nick and the sports science people can provide us. It's awesome.
It's really incredible. It really is.
Walter Jenkins asks, what's the best piece of advice that Coach K has given you so far about being head coach?
Coach K, I mean, look, there's a lot of advice through the years. It's kind of what I told you about being authentic. You know, coach from day one, just instilling in me and reminding me just to be myself. You know, to give yourself grace, because no coach bats 1,000. You just don't, and so you're going to want to, you know, replay things in your head, and I do that all the time still. But just of understanding that you're not going to be perfect, just like a player is not going to be perfect. And so that's been an important lesson that he's taught me.
Yep. JB3 Moam asked, what was it like watching the Gordon Hayward shot in that national championship game?
I'll never forget it. I mean, I was in front of the ball. Hayward was taking the shot, and, you know, as he shot it, you're looking at the trajectory, and I looked online. And as I turned my head and started to pick up the ball and track it again, I did feel, look, it felt like the ball was in air for, 20 seconds, But at the end, I felt there was a split second off to the right. But my heart dropped for a second because it was closer than you would have liked it to be.
Oh, yeah.
And but again, I felt in my heart it wasn't supposed to go in. I felt it was off. But obviously, you got to give him credit for making it that close in that moment.
Yeah, I remember watching that game. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was. Michaela Stout, last question. Michaela Stout asked, what are your top 3 memories? I'm going to break it up because we already have, as a head coach, you said Final Four. So as a player and as an assistant coach.
Say it one more time.
I'm sorry, yeah. Michaela Stout asked, top memory as a head coach, we already said Final Four, Duke player, and assistant coach.
It's hard to just sum up 3 memories because there's so many along the way. Like, it's easy to say the national championship. For me though, the memorable game was beating Baylor in the Elite Eight. As a player, that was a big deal. I felt like we had some pressure taken off our shoulders, and we were able to then just play against West Virginia and Butler. As an assistant coach, I just, the national championship game, obviously, winning the national championship, for me, I was so proud of those guys. But that year we went and played at Virginia. We had gone through some adversity the week prior. We had some things happen. And to see our team come together, Virginia, I'm pretty sure, was undefeated. They were 2, we were 4, something like that. And we beat them at their place. And that was just, we were down 13 in the second half, I think.
Oh, wow. And against Virginia,
yeah, it feels like 20 sometimes the way they played. And we came back and won. And to me, that was such a memorable game and fun, especially winning on the road. And that's something I'll never forget either.
Absolutely. That's all we have for the fan questions. No, I had a great time listening and hearing your answers.
Well, because you asked a lot of the questions yourself. That's why. No, but thanks for doing this, J-Rob.
That's the luxury of being the host.
Appreciate you, my man. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for all your support. And let's make this a special season.